Okay, now we're good. Okay, so Dixie Dining and Shopping, and there's my bio. Hopefully you all are somewhat familiar with me as such. I'm a local architect, historian, author, done various things along the way. I want to acknowledge where some of my sources come from, since I didn't actually visit these establishments, had to do some research. I want to compliment the Kentucky Room down at the main library. Just a phenomenal resource for our community. If none of you have been there, it's in the old original Carnegie Library section and up on the second floor. And the librarians there are just phenomenal to deal with. Great archives, street directories, things like that. Google is now the researcher's best friend, constantly looking at images and street views and things like that. The Dixie Highway History Facebook page has been great. I Am Dixie Highway, hopefully some of you are on that Facebook page. They do a wonderful job keeping things up to speed. James Daniel Lynch, who used to live out here, and I'm not sure if y'all know who James Daniel Lynch is, but he actually lives in Florida, but he posts almost every day about Louisville and Dixie Highway, in which he grew up. He's retired and lives down in Florida. And then I want to compliment my friends Jerry Bryce, who is here this evening, and Jim Sokow, who helped me out with some details of the presentation. And you may be saying, well, Steve, you didn't grow up on Dixie Highway. Why are you talking about Dixie Highway? Well, I've been involved in Dixie Highway for a long, long time. My ancestors, great-great-great-grandparents, Louisiana Arnold and John Jacob Weiser, owned the area where Dawes High School currently is, if you know where Dawes is. That was the family farm. They created a St. Andrew's Church, Catholic church, and then the cemetery, and that's where they're buried at. A lot of Weisers are buried in that area. A lot of cousins still live out here, a lot of family, as you can see, and various other things. And my firm, JRA Architects, built the Southwest Library that we're seated in here today, as well as St. Peter the Apostle Catholic Church. That's what the library looked like 10 years ago. Still under construction, but anyways, I think it turned out pretty well. Everyone pretty well satisfied with the library? Okay. So a little events talking about how Dixie Highway developed and kind of give a little history overview. When the first horseless carriage came into Louisville in 1898, a guy that owned a carriage business ordered one out in Indianapolis. It came down by railroad, offloaded it, and then he terrorized the citizens of Louisville by driving it around downtown for a while. That was over 100 and so odd years ago. Then, of course, they built the Ford plant that started manufacturing Model Ts and Model As and whatever there. Dixie Highway was constructed between 1915 and 1929. When Fort Knox was created, that really accelerated the development of this area. Of course, when the GIs returned from World War II, helped establish more subdivisions in this area. The flood wall construction really helped out. A lot of this area was flooded in the 1937 flood. Of course, when they built the expressways, the Waterson and the Snyder, that really brought more folks out this way. I think they could use another expressway out here, possibly a couple more bridges out here as well. That would all help. Hopefully everyone would agree on that. I would love to see a bridge built from here over to Indiana someplace. Of course, with no tolls. So here is the overall length of Dixie Highway, going all the way up from the tip of Michigan all the way down to the tip of Florida, all the way down. And there it is as it came through Kentucky. There were two highways there. You had the eastern side and the western. This is a archival photograph of Dixie Highway with all of its signs. Hasn't changed much, has it, over the years? I think that was, I'm not sure when that photograph was taken, but probably in the last 20, 30 years. But yeah, that's a more recent one there. So feel free to comment as we go through these restaurants and stores to talk about your favorite menu items, if that's okay, or owners or memories. feel free to chat or discuss it at the very end. And there are dozens, maybe hundreds of stores and restaurants that occupy Dixie at one point or another. So don't feel offended if I miss your favorite restaurant or store. You can bring it up in the Q&A session. But yeah, if you look at the street directories, they've changed almost every 5 years. There seem to be new restaurants and new stores popping up along the way. So let's look at the restaurants. One of the first I want to mention is right there at the intersection, the main intersection there with 7th Street and Crumbs Lane. Leonard's Restaurant. I do not know much about Leonard's restaurant, if anyone remembers that. But there were several interesting incidents that happened there. On the left there is a soldier who came back from World War II and was there at the restaurant, photographed there in front of the Shively police car. But then the owner of Leonard's Restaurant had a serious altercation with someone, and he wound up with 48 stitches in him. So I'm not sure if anyone knew who Conrad Bill was, but yeah, I'm not sure how long he stayed with the restaurant after that, but kind of interesting history. Bud's Tavern, pretty famous location there, also in that same intersection area. I think it's still there. I did not go by and verify, but I think it's still going strong, yes. And just right next door used to be White Tower Hamburgers. Does anyone remember that? You can see Bud's Tavern there just to the left. So some of you remember White Tower?
Good burgers.
Were they any similar to White Castle by chance? Or was
Bigger.
Bigger hamburger? Were they a chain, do you know?
They were so similar to White Castle, there was actually a lawsuit in the 1930s that White Castle won, so White Tower got shut down.
Ah, okay, well, that makes sense.
At that time, it wasn't Bud's Tavern, it was Menninghof's.
What was it called at that time?
Menninghof's.
Menninghof's? Okay. Hicks restaurant, some of you may remember this. We'll talk about Hicks a little bit later on, but I just love this design. Golly, I wish this had still hung around. What a phenomenal looking restaurant. What's that again?
It just got torn down recently.
Did it? Okay, well,
Where?
Tasty House, and we'll discuss the Hicks in a little bit, in a few minutes. The Tasty House restaurant, not sure if anyone remembers that. It looks like it was about 70 years ago.
This place where Jerry's used to be, right there at Fielding and
Jerry's in that
Lewiston.
same area. Southwind, yeah. I'm going to talk Jerry's as well here in a few minutes. Southwind Restaurant, I know some of y'all were familiar with Southwind.
God, I love
That was nice. Is Frisch's Big Boy, is that what was,
Yes.
took that place?
They kept the same building. It was very art modern design, lots of glass.
Although the Frisch's that was just recently closed, that's not the same building.
That's St. Andrews.
Totally different.
What's that restaurant? It's not Hooters. It's
The old Frisch's.
Might be Hooters.
that. Okay, Dixie right there.
Hooters is
Yeah.
their name, yeah.
Where Hooters is now.
The Toadstool?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully everyone remembers the Toadstool.
See,
Yeah.
that was across the street. If there's a remnant of the sculpture that used to be out in front of the Toadstool Inn, it was on the east side of Dixie. That was the old Churchill Inn you're looking at there.
Yeah, there you go, the old Churchill.
The Toadstool Inn had this spaceship type of sculpture.
Yeah,
You'll
rocket.
still see a remnant of it.
It's right there by the cleaners.
Right. And it had neon lights around it. It was something out of the 40s and 50s where the lights would go up and up and up,
It's still
like
there.
a spaceship taking off.
I may have that in my presentation here.
That was
in a few
rocket
minutes.
cleaners. Okay.
Rocket Cleaners, correct.
Yeah.
Speaking of burgers and hamburgers and all, here's one, and I'm, again, not certain how long this restaurant was in existence, called Burgers Restaurant, for obvious reasons. But you can see where the location was, so it was wiped out when they built the Waterston Expressway. That's what it looks like today. Some other burger locations, Triangle Hamburgers and Burger Queen. Burger Chef. I know a lot
I
of
love
people. I love Burger Chef. They had, I'm not sure why they went out of business. I love their burgers. They did a great job.
They sold out to a conglomerate and then they shut
It
them down.
became Druthers, really.
Yeah.
King Druthers.
Brothers bought them out and shut them
Right.
down.
I don't think Druthers tasted as good as Burger Chef. But anyways, there were several locations there on Dixie that they had. The one I remember was the one right there by the railroad tracks.
Valley Station Road.
There you go. Some other restaurants, now these were at Bacon's Center.
There was another restaurant.
Chef House.
Was, yeah,
It was around the corner,
Yeah.
right on the corner, the south corner of the Bacon Shopping Center, and they had great food.
what was its name, Chef House?
Chef House.
The one that we were referencing there.
It wasn't very big. It was, you know, in the strip.
Yeah, I don't have any images of it.
Next to the record shop.
Duffy's Tavern. I don't know if Duffy's is still there. I'll take it it's no longer there.
Oh, God, no.
It's long gone. Okay. Frankel's Home Cooking. I think Frankel's is
Still there. Yeah. He's right.
And this one's by the railroad tracks as well.
Been around a while.
Red Barn.
It's a valley. Red Barn. I know actually right where it was.
You want to remember this steakhouse?
Yeah.
I think it's a pawn shop now.
Yeah.
But anyways, they had a good steakhouse.
ISIS still owns it. It's a pawn shop.
Oh, really?
He still owns the pawn
The
shop.
owner still owns the building. The Lotus, Chinese-American restaurant.
That was the first in the city.
Mm.
Bull Cow out in Middletown came just a few months after that. That was the first, they called it Chinese and American. They didn't want it to say Chinese.
Right. Don't blame them. Back then.
It was 57 when they started.
But yeah, and they got wiped out also when they built the interchange there. I don't think they exist any longer.
No.
These were just some advertisements that I came across and thought I'd throw those in. They were both, one of them was in the Bacon's Shopping Center, the bakery, and then the other was 4110 Dixie Highway. Anyway, just some other thoughts. The Kingfish.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone mourns the loss of the Kingfish. There's still two Kingfishes left, one in Jeffersonville and one at Zorn and River Road, but they don't match the architectural designs. I'm not sure why they got rid of them, but there were like 7 or 8 of these Kingfishers around the city, and they were just phenomenal. And by the way, these images that I show here are not the ones that were out on Dixie. I did not have any images of those. The one in the upper left, that's out on Bardstown Road, and the one in the upper right was the one downtown. But I just love that vernacular, the steamboat design.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad that they're all gone. I didn't know that Lenning's had a location on Dixie Highway. I just sort of came across this.
Yeah, Lynn Leonard owned that one. Leonard Lenning owned it.
Was he, I think, a relative of...
Yeah, well, Leonard was the brother. The brothers opened Mike Lenning's, but Leonard owned the Silver Slipper too.
Okay, so that left me to say, well, maybe I can talk about Lenning's at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we go. It's not on Dixie Highway, of course, but it's a legendary Southwest Jefferson County restaurant that everyone throughout the city and probably nationwide knows about Mike Lenning's. And I misspelled it there, I see, with an extra N.
Everybody does.
But anyways, yeah, everyone, I think they're open now, right?
Yes.
They close during the winter. There you go. One of the original locations.
That is Mike Lenning actually right there. That's
Yeah.
him.
Sandy's Restaurant, not sure if you're familiar with that. That's more recent, just 30 years ago.
That was right down in Shopton.
Mm-hmm.
State Place.
I love the Cow Palace.
I'm
Yeah.
not fond of roast.
I think, were they part of the overall chain? I know there was a chain called
Yeah, they
Cow
were.
Palace. But yeah, that's some more steak locations. Now this one is on Crumbs Lane. They said they were fine dining, the Steak Palace and Lounge. But the one I really remember was Cliff Hagen's Steakhouse.
Yeah.
me and my wife would come out here and go to that. And then Jerry Rice just told me that it was Howard Johnson's restaurant prior to.
28 flavors of ice cream.
Mm-hmm. They had, Cliff Hagan's had the wooden basketball floor.
Yeah, you walk in, you thought you were on a gym floor, didn't you? I'm not sure why that didn't last either. I'm not sure how long it was there, but it was a pretty fancy place to go eat steak.
I think the Dixie went through a tough period in the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of restaurants closed.
Close. Of course, this one's right out front of the library here, Tumbleweed. Me and my wife were just there just the other day. This one, it says it's closed, the Jesse's Diner. As I drove by, it's now a Mexican restaurant.
It's a good one, too.
Is it a good Mexican restaurant? Yeah, it's amazing how often these restaurants change and the buildings stay there, but they constantly.
The guy bought out Jesse's, still called it Jesse's, said he still had the same menu,
Terrible.
but he raised the prices, that was the end of Jesse's.
Terrible.
Okay.
It wasn't that good either.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
There it
Talking about
is.
Jerry's.
I worked there.
I love that place.
Everyone loved Jerry's, and again, not sure what's going on with all the Frisch's and Jerry's and all those restaurants are all closing for some reason. They can't find staff. That's a big issue right now in the restaurant world. Is
Small is better now.
Yeah. Drive-throughs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my understanding that Hicks was here, correct?
The same building. When you went in that place, it was still, the entrance and everything was still the same. I don't know what, the roof lines and all that got changed.
So they actually took that
building.
and they built that around it?
They got a facelift.
Oh, jeez. That's funny.
Because you went
Steve,
in
that
there,
had the most
Elvis
glass
stuff.
block of any building in Metro Louisville.
Yeah.
probably.
Wow.
With neon lights behind the glass block.
That is so sad.
So cool.
that, it's no longer around.
Mr. Hicks lived on Rockford Lane, just up the street. His daughter Linda went to Butler with my wife and I.
How nice.
Yeah.
They went to Rockford Lane Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Well, that was just a phenomenal restaurant, and Jerry's and all that. What a great, they're probably going to put a car wash there now. What do you think?
Yeah, that's all we
Any more
need.
car washes?
We need plenty of them. Yeah.
Pawn shop or liquor store.
A liquor store or tobacco or a puff pass. Okay, and of course White Castle.
We just ate there.
Speaking of legendary dining, y'all had a number of them out here, 3 of them every so often. I lament the loss of the porcelain White Castles. For whatever reason, the concrete block White Castles leaves something to be desired, but
Not the
they
same.
tore down all the porcelain ones. There is one, I saw a porcelain one in Nashville, Tennessee not long ago that still exists.
The aluminum one.
The Waffle House, very legendary location. Y'all do have one of those out here. Is that the one that was in the news not too long
Got
ago?
shot, guy got
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I should have brought that up. Think about it.
There we go.
Okay, here we go.
Where was that?
9150 Dixie Highway.
It's like right here.
Yeah, it's right in this general area.
It was on the way to golf land, if anybody remembers golf.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
car wash
Got the
there.
tattoo place now.
Someone said there's a car wash there now.
Yeah, there
It's
is.
still called something in Suds, but it's a car wash.
Oh, jeez. But the one I remember is this one here.
Frost top. That is
Yeah.
excellent.
Here, I visited.
It's still down there too, but
Yeah, it's a barber shop now.
Whenever we go, used to go to Fort Knox to visit the museum or whatever, on a field trip, we would stop here. Just love this location.
There's still one in Tell City, Indiana. Whenever we go there, we go to Frost.
Oh, still has the mug and all
Still
that?
working, still
Wow.
same thing.
That's great. Love that roadside architecture. And then you all had an A&W, it used to be in this building right here, way out Dixie Highway.
that building still looks like that vacant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff's gone now.
Yeah, I just got this off of Street View, so that's what it looks like, yeah. Yikes. And then we had restaurants in motels. So this is Dixie again, as you can tell by the nice cars going up and down it there. And then off to the right, you have the Colony Motel. And it had a restaurant with it. some images of it there. It was also a chain of motels and restaurants. That's what it looks like today.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, agreed. I think they're doing something to the Smithsonian College.
It's gonna be a rehab.
Okay, interesting, okay. I love this one here, Churchill Inn. And Richard Des Rousseau, who used to be a columnist for the Courier Journal, or was it the Louisville Times? Jerry, do you know, was he in the evening or the morning?
Mostly evening, I think.
Mostly evening, Louisville Times. But anyways, he loved a 32-ounce T-bone there.
Nice.
Can you imagine eating a 32-ounce? Does anyone do that anymore?
They had one at John E's, used to.
Johnny's, the Bill
Yeah.
Boland's area over there on Pikes Lane. But anyways, yeah, he loved the Churchill Inn. He probably got a free steak every time he went there and wrote about it.
Right on.
Yeah. And of course, Churchill Inn was renamed the Royal Inn. It was the Toadstool Inn as well, and so all that is gone. It was demolished a number of years ago. A Holiday Inn, it also had a restaurant associated with it. And it also is no longer around. It's long gone, I believe.
The Holiday Inn is a different hotel.
Yeah, I think it's a,
Best Western, I think.
yeah, it's Best Western.
Yeah.
I love this architecture here. I
Look
love
at that.
it. Parks, good food and
I
motel.
was telling you, we used to go and, used to be a restaurant.
Yeah, there is.
I lived about a block over from there.
Air
Mm.
conditioned, all right.
Yeah, that was really nice.
You can tell the age because the phone number still had the 2 letters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, times have changed. It's
Yeah.
now the Clark Motel and it's no longer a restaurant. What it looks like before and after.
Yeah.
Food.
Whew.
There's the good food.
Alamo.
The Alamo.
Alamo.
They had a pool.
Yeah.
The Italian restaurant there was Mary's Italian Restaurant.
Mario.
Yeah, Mario's, there it is, Mario's Italian Restaurant.
Mary's.
We live right around the corner.
It was called Mary's before Mario's.
Oh, really? They
Yeah,
just sort
back
of,
in the 50s.
okay.
My sister had her, what do you call it, before the
Bavarian
wedding,
diner.
rehearsal dinner there.
German
A
restaurant.
friend was telling me that there was also a Bavarian German restaurant there as well, is that correct?
Yes.
It was really nice.
Good old days.
Someone said that a lot of the Fort Knox soldiers had married German women and that when they came back, that the German women liked to go to the German restaurants. I'm not sure if that's still true or not or what. But I know my ancestor, John Jacob Weiser, he was from Bavaria. So, a little German culture out in this area.
There's the pool.
Speaking of the swimming pool. Okay, well, that's where the Alamo once was, at the Logan's Roadhouse, which is going to be demolished. They just announced yesterday that a Wawa is going to go at that location.
The Wawa.
Logan's down.
Is
They're
it
gonna tear
is
off-
it also?
Bucky's only smaller, oh my gosh. How many gas pumps will they have?
Video of that property.
Bucky's has what, 120 pumps there? It's amazing.
Bubba's and Drake's was looking at it, but they backed out.
Who was looking at it?
Bubba's and Drake's.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right outside the door.
Okay, what Dixie Highway Motel restaurant was the basis for a multi-billion-dollar worldwide food empire?
McDonald's. No.
Colonel Sanders.
Dixie Highway.
Yeah, it's a different Dixie Highway. I fooled you. I kind of tricked you on this one. But yeah, Colonel had a similar motel restaurant chain going on there, or establishment. And it's down there on the eastern Dixie Highway branch, near Corbin, Kentucky. That's what it looks like today. And they only had 2 pumps. Not quite like Bucky's. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the shopping. Start off with Thornberry's.
Yeah.
Thorny Bucks.
Yeah, Thorny Bucks. Was it Thorny Bucks that they used to have? Something like that? Yeah, oh, everyone loved Thornberry's. And why that ever went away, I don't know either.
The bikes were expensive back then.
Mm. Lee's Jewelers, I just threw this in, I had this image, not sure if anyone, I'm sure there were a lot of jewelers out in this area for various reasons. Drugstores, they said they were the only pharmacy in this area at the time. Louisville Apothecary.
Well, I think it was autos.
Auto Grove.
Here's another, these folks sold pretty much everything. I'm not sure if anyone remembers this. Again, they were located near the railroad tracks, near Ralph Avenue there. Sears. There actually was a Sears out in this location. This was its historic location.
Remember Sears?
South and Terrace?
It's a pawn shop.
Yeah, they turned into a pawn shop, and then it was located way out near the 11,000 area of Dixie there as well.
So
Sears.
that was the later.
Valley Station Shopping Center.
Yeah, Valley Station, more recent. And I don't think Sears is even around anymore, are they?
No, they're tearing the building down at J.
Because I
Mall.
get it in.
Yeah, I just heard that they're tearing the old Sears down at Jefferson Mall as
Right.
well, out in Oklahoma.
It's gonna be like a Costco and a Sam's, one of those type stores.
Hardware stores, love the hardware stores. Not familiar with Wetzel's.
25th anniversary in 1942. Wow.
But y'all had a lot of different hardware stores out
I
here.
remember Rolanda.
So I was familiar with Sumner's Hardware.
Yeah.
World Leaders had a monkey.
What's that?
I said, bring it back some.
Bring them back, yes. I used to work at H&S Hardware, if anyone had ever heard of H&S
Yes.
Hardware.
Pool City.
Yes, Pool City.
Preston.
It was just phenomenal. It was Home Depot before Home Depot.
Right.
Didn't
Sumner's
World
kind of
Leaders have a
morphed into the
monkey?
guns business,
Yeah.
with Little Biff and all
They
that.
had a monkey.
I worked with one of the Sumners at the gas company. They ran that machine gun shoot right there.
Oh, yeah, wherever that's at, yeah. Is he still out there at that location?
They shut it down. I don't really, I think they just leased the property. I don't really know.
Bensingers, you had Bensingers out there. I'm not sure if that was the correct location for this or not. The directory that I had was 7710 Dixie, but that facade looks more like it's more towards the Shively area.
It was right next to Louisville Apothecary and Bank of St. Thomas.
Oh, okay, so that was in the 7th Street intersection location.
Then they have one up, didn't they also have one where the funeral home is?
Yeah, that was it.
It's amazing as Louisvillians how we reference where things used to be at. Oh, it's where the old Sears used to be, or the old White Castle, or whatever. I pity the poor out-of-towners coming in, and we try to give them directions. Well, it was down where the old, and then it's across the street from, yeah. Here we go, the sporting goods stores. Now this Arch Duffy, I take it that's the same one that owned the tavern, perhaps.
Yeah,
Shively Sporting Goods, maybe.
Mhm.
big ballers.
Speaking of Shively
There it is.
Sporting Goods. And they were just bought out not long ago, correct?
Right.
They used to be located right there in the center of this little retail.
That's where I got this.
A lot of the school business also.
I tell you, Shively Sporting Goods around the whole county was pretty well known. And I like this photograph here, and Jerry Rice possibly, I'm not sure if you knew who she was.
She was a little after me.
Okay, but
I was in 62, and she came in the later 60s.
she's talking about career opportunities for students at Butler High School, and was talking about all the different stores in this area that they can go work at. Arlen's Discount Store. The only reason I brought this up, it was an old discount store similar to, it was even a lower class, I think, than Kmart, but my grandmother loved to go to Arlen's. We would go there all the time. And for Easter one year, they had a lot of chickens, little baby chickens in a big container, and they were all dyed different colors. And she bought me one, and unfortunately the poor thing didn't last very long, but that's my memory of Arlen's, going there and getting this baby
But it's an
chicken.
old tobacco warehouse is what that was.
Yeah, old tobacco
Yeah, I
warehouse.
think then it finally burned to the ground. But it was the first discount store I know, because I worked for a company that we sold them stuff under the table at a cheap price. so that the other oil distributors didn't know about it.
Oh, jeez. Interesting history there. But
He
yeah,
admits it.
here we go.
There's your
I thought I'd
rocket.
throw these in here.
There's your rocket too.
That's right.
So was that rocket, that was across from the old Churchill Inn, right? And that,
Yeah.
now, was it always associated with that cleaners or was it?
Toadstool Inn, the original.
So that was part of Toadstool Inn, is that?
And the mushroom.
At least it was out in front of it.
What's that again, sorry, Becky?
The mushroom farm was behind it.
Yeah, the
Mushroom Farm, okay.
What I need.
But yeah, I thought I'd throw in some icons here of Dixie Highway. I think the rocket is still there. I
Yes.
drove by it, I didn't
Yeah.
notice it.
Don't
And
take
then
all of it.
I think the catfish is gone though, is that correct?
Yes, Khalil Batsan, the guy that owns Khalil's, he bought the property, and it's now for lease if anybody's interested.
But what about the catfish?
They're gone.
Okay, they're gone.
The family took that before they
Not
sold
only
the
that, I think
property.
they were grandfathered in, and if you changed anything, they had to go.
Yeah,
Mm.
they did. They went.
I always loved those big fish as you drove by
There
the
was a big fight about those. With Metro, yeah.
shopping center. So those were individual stores.
Bacon.
Bacon's. Golly, can you believe 70 years ago it was announced? Corpage Florist was there at that location previously.
Still there.
Is it still there?
Part of it.
Texas
That's where
Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse and all that is before.
Yeah, there's a lot of other restaurants that used to
Right
be there.
Yeah.
There's an aerial view of it after it had been built.
Oh, goodness.
Love all those parking spaces.
Texas Roadhouse would be over here to the right.
Midnight Madness.
I worked with many of them.
I worked in the cafe, the kitchen. They had a restaurant in the basement.
Hmm.
Copper Kettle.
Copper Kettle, right.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I worked there.
Some advertisements for when it opened and then its first anniversary there. And it talks about some of the restaurants there along the left-hand side. Talk about all those. Yeah, Corpage is listed. It's one of the occupants.
The original Corpage Florist was out on Dixie, a separate store. Then the Expressway took all that.
Mm.
So is that behind there now?
The Corpage family still owns a sliver of
You know, I was noticing, Jerry, right here, it looks like they had the greenhouses here in the lower right-hand corner. You can see the construction. Something going
Cemeteries
on.
over to the right.
Yeah.
They're behind it.
Then the
Yeah,
cemetery.
the cemetery's behind it there.
Yeah.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Cemetery up there.
Okay.
A lot more gravestones in it now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My grandfather is buried there. He was buried in
Mine too.
1963.
Wow.
There was a restaurant
Speaking of Bacon's, here's a little history of it. One of the original locations, I don't know if this was the actual original, but down on West Market Street between Preston and Campbell, there's a McDonald's right across the street from this. But anyways, the original building there, and then went into deterioration, and now it's been repurposed into residential and all. And then this is the Bacon's gravesite in Cave Hill Cemetery. So everyone remembers Bacon's, and whenever I bring that up, they always...
You know that.
Unfortunately, the Bacons weren't... They sort of sold out and got out of it in the early 1900s. They were just in it, they were just in it from the mid-1800s to the early 1900s, and then they sold out and it successively sold to different groups. The last one closed in 1999, it says. Yeah, Dillard's and all that. Is Dillard's still around too? Okay, I've not seen a Dillard's either. Anyways, look at this. This is phenomenal. These old advertisements.
August 13th, 1970.
Cold.
Yeah. Ooh. Some Bacon's related memorabilia there. Someone mentioned the record store. So there's a before and after, what it looked like.
They had a Western Auto there too.
Western Auto. So here's the development of the Waterson back in the late 50s, early 60s. Texas Roadhouse, someone mentioned that. I think it's closed now, correct?
No, that's
Oh, is it
Charlie's.
Texas Roadhouse?
Charlie's.
Oh, Charlie's.
Oh, Charlie's.
Right next door.
Where's the shop?
It was an Italian place before that.
Okay. This is a business first description of the largest shopping centers in Jefferson County, and there are 3 of them out in this area: Dixie Manor, Westland Mall, and Southland Terrace.
Westwood Mall never quite did it.
Didn't quite take off, did it? And I'll discuss that here shortly. Okay, here's Southland Terrace. They don't do any more Santa fly-ins, do they?
No.
Bet the kids love that. So there's an aerial view of it.
There's 7th Street.
Another view. And then it's my understanding that this, I call it senior housing now,
It wasn't quite that then,
but it was home for the aged and
they
infirm.
were more like inmates.
Oh, gosh. I call it senior housing.
Steve, that was still, the remnants of that building were still there in 61 before Southland Terrace, everything was bulldozed for that.
Wow.
You know the pauper cemetery is back behind it on Manson? That was part of that complex there, and so was Nichols Hospital, part of it.
Wow. What a phenomenal building, though. Gosh, can you
Southland
imagine?
Terrace.
When
Oh, I love
was
it.
that there?
What was that?
When was that there?
Okay.
It was there prior to the night when Southland Terrace was built in, what, the early
It
60s?
was vacant building in 60, 61.
So 60, 61, and then they bulldozed it. Dixie Manor, of course.
You know, there was a restaurant in Dixie, Nino's Coffee Pie. If you went back to the little passageway back in there, when my wife worked there, that's where they always ate lunch.
Ah,
Or else it
I still wish they'd go back to the original sign.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gosh, what they did to it there. Oh, it's horrible.
The arm of the colonel, the left arm, I believe, moved up and down.
Yeah.
To
It waned off.
get you in.
Yeah,
Mm.
it did.
I remember Indian Trail shopping centers where I went, and they had the Indian was shooting the arrow. Similar thing. Dixie Manor Shopping Center, there is an aerial view of it. The infamous Westland Mall.
Was it
If
Eastland?
you guys are interested in the Westland Mall, I own a Facebook page that says Westland Mall, and I've got a lot of pictures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, check it out.
I have not come
His
across
twin
that.
brother, the Eastland Mall.
Yeah.
That was down in Bardstown Road.
Yeah, way out Bardstown Road, out by, trying to think of the street that ran into it out there.
So where'd you find the flyer picture at?
Which one?
The one in the middle, the flyer.
Oh, that one? Don't know, probably off one of the Facebook pages, either James Daniel Lynch, I got a lot of stuff.
I
up
look
here.
for stuff like that for that page, and I've never seen
And
that.
you can send me an email, I'll send this,
Okay.
I'll send any of these things to you.
Nice, Airway too.
Yeah, Airway, yeah. I think I Googled that one.
Yeah.
And some other
My
stores that
wife
were
worked at Lawrence Jewelers. Yeah.
So that's Valley Station Shopping Center. So Whirlwind Dixie is now Khalil's and Priceless Foods.
Wow.
And Sears is right
Uh-huh.
up the street, up the road.
They had a small Sears store there.
And there's a World War.
Still by the shop.
No, we're around here. Right out here. Our feeders.
Tops,
Wow.
which is now a Home Depot, is what I understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this shopping center before, Pleasure Valley Manor Shopping Center. Is out Dixie someplace.
Pleasure Valley, 9901.
In fact, it's right next door to where we're at here. You can see the library there in the upper part.
Okay,
The red dot.
that's where Myers is now.
Yes.
There used to be a Woolco, a Super X, and some grocery store.
Where was Crossroads?
Kroger's.
Where was Crossroads?
Wilco is where Myers was.
Woolco, Kroger's, and Super X Drugs.
Where was Crossroads at originally?
The infamous Kmart.
Yeah.
Or do any of those exist anymore?
Not here.
Walmart.
They're in Florida.
I'm not sure about, maybe a couple stores left.
But yeah.
They used to have a grocery store and I was a cashier.
What was it called? The Blue
Light Special.
Blue Light Special.
Blue Light Special.
That was the old Dixie Drive-In Theater.
Oh, was that at that location?
That's where it was.
Speaking of cinemas, thought I'd end with this one here.
That's where it turned into Po Folks for a while, and now it's the burger place, whatever it's called. WW Cousins.
They closed up.
That's where Alpha was.
But these were called the Alpha Cinemas. There was one out by me out on Preston Highway as well.
Dixie.
Yeah, they were around.
They did.
Yeah.
There's Dixie Cousins. There's your Dixie Ford.
And then it
Dixie
turned-
No, that's the Westland Mall, the Park Place.
Yeah.
the Dixie Dozen.
I take it that's the right location for these. I'm not familiar with these.
Dixie Dozen is at the Lowe's Shopping Center area.
Are there any theaters out there anymore?
No.
So all the theaters are gone? Everyone watches Netflix, is that right?
Right.
Unless you go over on Preston Highway.
Yeah.
Preston, are there any out in Preston?
Oh, yeah, big super.
What's the place called? What's the store in the Westland Mall? Ollie's. If you go into Ollie's, and if you go to the back of Ollie's, you can see the tall ceilings from where it used to be the theater. And if you go back to the back of Ollie's and use the restroom there, the original restrooms from the Westland Mall theaters, just like it was then. They said when they remodeled it, there wasn't no sense tearing them out.
And then speaking of drive-in theaters,
Yeah.
thought I added these in here.
That's where the story is.
Phenomenal stuff.
Look at all the different drive-ins.
I think there's one in southern Indiana still.
Yeah.
Georgetown.
We go to Georgetown all the time.
And then someone tried to open one up in Oakland County. I'm not certain. Closed.
They did good, and a tornado came and blew the screen down.
But I don't think there's any more in Jefferson County to my knowledge. All of these are gone. And there we go. So there we go. So, I heard everyone talking about all their favorite restaurants and stores. So if there's any that we did not mention or you want to bring up, yes, in the back there.
There used to be a ranch house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went down in south on Dixie, and then there was one, I think.
There was one, I know I put it on Winkler and 3rd Street. There was a ranch house there.
That was the original ranch house. There was one on Nelson
Bob
Avenue.
Colglazer's ranch house.
Bob Colglazer, Nelson Avenue, and Paul Cowley from WKLO had a turntable there, and it would come out to the remotes. At that location, also Winkler, and also one out on Shelbyville Road in front of the East Drive-In, and they called that Turntable Tower.
Huh.
And that, we're talking 50s here.
They had the ranch burger there.
The ranch burger,
Yes.
yes.
People would come
I got
from
one.
all the way on and get one.
Yes, I've heard.
So I know you guys remember, he mentioned something about Chinese. The House of Chin.
Y'all, Jim's.
Now that was one of the nicest Oriental restaurants and the very first one to ever come to Dixie, and I was a little kid in the 70s. And it's the first Chinese food I ever had.
You sure it was the 70s and not the 60s?
Maybe, well, yeah, it had probably been there that long, but Mr. Chin, he could flat cook, man.
Now, Angel was married to Mr. Chin. She opened up Osaka, Japan. Then she ran Osaka until she retired. And her family tried to get the recipe on how she made things from her, but she took it with her. She was not going to say share it.
Her secret. But yeah, the House of Chin, one of the classic Dixie Highway restaurants.
Wow, I wish
Now
I
it's a
completed that.
factory
House of
restaurant.
Chin. Any other restaurants like that that were classic memories that we did not include? That was a great one.
Wasn't there a German restaurant way out Dixie across the street?
Yeah, there's one farther out that I understand,
There was
yes.
a bar.
Monarch, that's correct, yes.
First chance, last chance?
I was gonna say, you never mentioned first chance, last chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Was that out in the county line?
That's way out.
What was the name of that pancake place? Uncle
Benny's
something?
Last
Okay.
Chance.
What is it? Uncle Hank's Pancake out there in Valley Station. Uncle Hank's
It's a liquor
Pancake
store
House.
now.
It's a smoke shop now. Somebody got killed in there, remember?
Last
It was on the first 48.
Yep, right in the foot of Muldrow.
But first chance, last chance, does that mean that, was it Meade County?
When you went
Dry
southbound.
County?
Everything was dry.
sign said
Dry County.
Last
Yeah.
chance. When you went northbound, on the other side of the sign said first chance, because all that was dry. And I've always heard that one thing that killed Chi Chi's in Shively was when Hardin County went west.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Because all the people would come up and want to dine and actually have a drink, and that they first stop was Chi-Chi's.
Yeah.
So they come up to Chi-Chi's, well, you know.
Interesting, yes, wet counties and dry counties. So that made a lot of sense, yes.
But,
Especially for the Fort Knox soldiers.
well, yeah, you know, by those days,
there was
soldiers
pawn
were allowed
shops
on postcards
everywhere,
anyway, but, I remember we sprung a buddy of mine out of basic training one Sunday.
Sprung him.
And,
I like it.
Well, I knew a sergeant down there and all this stuff. But anyway, we took him down to Benny's, had a few beers, and then we dropped him back off in his company area down the street so he didn't see us dropping off.
Oh, Lord, great stories. Other restaurants of that nature are stores. Well, anyways, I'm not sure if Graham is still here. Graham, we want to turn on the lights, we can do that. Everyone shut their eyelids a bit until we turn on the lights, because it always shocks you. Oh, yes.